Thank you. We will wait for organizers to come.
Okay, thanks. And I think we can start the webinar. Sorry, I know that there are some problems with the mic of Esther. Esther will be the moderator, but unfortunately she has some problems. Um, maybe in order that she will be able to solve these problems, we can start. I can do the moderation of the webinar. Um, I think welcome to everyone. For me, it's a pleasure to be here. My name is Rosario Galarza. I work for International Disability Alliance as Intersectionalities and Cross-Movement Collaboration Senior Officer. It's a pleasure to start this online consultation, which has a main purpose, which is to draft a call to action to be presented during the Global Disability Summit, which will be held in Berlin in April 2nd and 3rd. That's why during these 2 hours, we will be having discussions, especially we will have discussion in groups, and you will be assigned to different breakout rooms according to your language, which means that we will be having a breakout room for Spanish speakers, another with French speakers, another with two of them with English speakers, and then we will have one for Portuguese, one for Arabic, and we will have international sign and captioning in one breakout room. In this breakout room, you will be discussing some guiding questions we have already prepared for all of you in order to know your inputs, your priorities to be considered in this call to action. We will be reflecting before having these breakout rooms about what is the relevance to have this call to action. We will be reviewing uh, former processes about drafting call to action for GDS 2022, I mean Global Disability 2022, and also the call to action drafted by Youth with Disabilities for the Summit of the Future last year. And now I would like to pass the mic to Alessandra to do the housekeeping, just to remind people who maybe are using interpretation and captioning of things. Hey, Alexandra.
Thank you, Rosario. Hi, everybody. My name is Alexandra. I'm going to briefly explain some of the technical features of today's call. This webinar is being recorded. There is international sign interpretation, captioning in English and Spanish, language interpretation in English, French, Arabic, Portuguese, and Spanish. A CC button on the bottom of your screen in the meeting control toolbar will enable the closed caption. If you need the captions in the external window, the link is in the chat box. The interpretation button on the bottom of your screen, presented as a globe, will allow you to access a specific language channel. Please choose your channel that you will follow throughout the meeting. We request all speakers to kindly keep to times and keep their camera off if not speaking. We are asking you that you speak slow enough for the interpreters and captioners to follow. Thank you and have a good meeting.
Thank you so much, Alexandra. I'm very sorry for not having turned on my camera before. Sorry, I didn't notice that. I'm very sorry, but thank you so much, Anna, for letting me know. Anyway, okay, thanks so much, Alexandra. And now we are going to start with some reflections about previous call to actions, especially previous engagement of youth with disabilities in this preparation of call to action. 。 Now we will have the presentation made by Antonio Palma, who is IDA Youth Committee representative from RIADIS, the Latin American Network of Organizations of Persons with Disabilities. Antonio will be talking about previous engagement of youth with disabilities in call to actions and how it's important to be engaged in this process. Please try to set up the interpretation because Antonio will be speaking in Spanish. That's why you set up the interpretation in your language, in English, French, according in order to listen what Antonio is going to say. Okay. Welcome, Antonio. I think the floor is yours.
Perfecto, muchas gracias. Me
Perfect.
escuchan,
Thank you
¿verdad?
very much. I suppose you can hear me, right?
Sí, te escuchamos.
Súper.
Yes, we can hear you.
Bueno, gracias.
Well,
un
thank
gusto,
you.
como ya les dijeron, soy
It
Antonio
is a
Palma,
pleasure. My name is Antonio
persona con
Palma.
discapacidad auditiva. Este es mi
I
tono,
have
Antonio Palma.
an auditioning disability,
Y es un verdadero placer
and it
estar
is a
aquí
great pleasure
hoy
for me to be
representando
here
la red de
today and to
comunidad
represent
RIADIS y el
the
Comité de
RIADIS and the
por la
Committee
Alianza
of
Internacional de la Discapacidad.
Youth Committee of IDA,
Hablando
International Disability
sobre los temas
Alliance,
que me ha
talking
correspondido a
about
mí
the
abordar, la
topics that
experiencia
I have
de
now here, the
jóvenes
experience
de
of
la participación
youth,
de jóvenes con
young
discapacidad
people,
en procesos
and their
tratados en relaciones
participation
y llamado a la acción.
and in the
La verdad
call
que
of
ha
action.
sido
It
vital
really
que
was
los jóvenes
of vital
participen de forma
importance
activa
that
para que
youth
nosotras y nosotros
and young
seamos quienes
people
escuchen y
participate very
marquen la
actively
agenda
so that
de cuáles son
really
nuestras preocupaciones,
can
¿no? Cuáles
see
son nuestros
on the
principales
agenda what are
requerimientos
our
y qué es lo
requests,
que
principal
buscamos
requests,
que se trabaje
what
por nosotros.
we
Y
want
esto
and what we
ayuda
want to be
directamente
done
al
about us
llamado de nada
and
de
for
nosotros
us.
sin nosotros que dicta
Of
la
course,
Convención
respecting
sobre los
nothing
Derechos de
about
Personas
us
con
without
Discapacidad
us,
y
um,
fortalece el principio o
and
el pilar
to
que no deja a
strengthen
nadie
uh,
atrás, que establece los
the
objetivos de
pillar of
desarrollo
leaving
sostenible.
no one behind.
Por ello, el papel de las
That's why the
juventudes en estos espacios es
paper of
esencial
young people
para que no seamos dejados atrás, ¿no?
in
Como ha
these meetings
pasado
is
en algunas
crucial
otras
so that we
oportunidades
don't leave
históricamente y que
and don't
a lo
miss
mejor
the
hemos
opportunities we
leído por
historically
ahí
had,
o hemos conocido.
and so that we can get to know our problems
Para
and our
estos
future activities.
espacios de creación
For
de
these
llamados de
spaces
acción
of
para tanto la cumbre
creation
global
and of call of the action, and
discapacidad en
also for the
2022, por ejemplo, o para
for
el
the events
recién
in
pacto de
2025
futuro
and
que fue el año pasado.
2020, and we had the Pact for the
La
Future.
verdad que el papel
It really the
de los jóvenes, como les
the
venía
role
tratando de
of
comentar,
young
yo desde
people is
mi espacio
essential,
estaba
and
apoyando y
I
tratando
was
de introducir
supporting and trying to
los temas
introduce
que le preocupan a la región, lo que le preocupan a América
young
Latina, y
people
eso lo
in
vamos a hacer
everything that has to
todos
do
los que
with
estamos
Latin
por venir
American
en
and
nuestras respectivas regiones.
all
Eso
of
es
us
algo
in our
bien
respective
interesante
regions, which is
que
something very
tenemos
interesting
que ir trabajando, ¿no?
that
Y
we
que
need to
tenemos
work
que
on and
concentrarnos
that we need to
en llevar
focus
las
on,
voces de las juventudes
and
primero y
to
luego las voces
bring
de
the
nuestra
voice of young
región,
people and then
tratando
the
de ser
voices
lo
of our
más
region,
amplios
and to
posibles, ¿no?
try
Por
to
ejemplo,
be
yo vivo en
as broad
Guatemala,
as possible. For
pero
example, I
yo
live in
no me
Guatemala,
concentro
but
únicamente en
I
Guatemala,
don't
sino que trato de
center
hablar
myself
esta
only on
comunidad a nivel
Guatemala.
regional,
I
en
also
América Latina, por
try to
ejemplo.
work on the
Y
level of
y
the
hay
region of
varios colegas del
Latin
Caribe
America,
también, por
and we
ejemplo, y
have
ellos
here a lot
van
of
a hablar
colleagues from
sobre el Caribe y lo propio van a ser
Caribbean
ustedes,
region,
así que
and they will
paciencia.
talk to you, and they
Entre los
will get
temas y cuestiones claves
get us to know.
abordados, es bien interesante porque la
And it is
juventud
really interesting to see
en
these
estos espacios
topics
hemos tenido la
and these
oportunidad de
concepts
marcar la
because we
línea
had
de qué es lo que queremos
the
hablar.
opportunity
Por
to
ejemplo, en
cross the line
2022
about
recuerdo que
what
se
we want
habló
to talk
bastante
about.
sobre
In 2022, we talked a lot about
recreación, ¿no? El
the
derecho a la
creation
recreación que habla el artículo 30 de la
and the rights
Convención.
of
Aquí
the
en América
recreation,
Latina habían otras
especially in
cuestiones que le
here in
preocupaban a
Latin
jóvenes
America,
en
there
otros
were
lados,
a
como
lot
cuestión de
of
trabajo u
other
otro tipo de
questions
temas.
concerning
Y yo creo que por
work
eso lo
and other
vital de
topics.
estos
And I think
espacios,
that
¿no? Que tengamos
these
como
spaces
la
are really vital
oportunidad de
so that
decir
we
los
can have the
jóvenes con
opportunity
discapacidad qué es lo que está pasando en nuestras
to
regiones y qué es lo que nos
see from
preocupa.
young people what is going on in
Hemos
our
tenido
regions.
varios
And we have
impactos,
had
varios
different
resultados.
impacts, different
Nuestras
results,
voces han llegado a
and our
distintos
voices have
espacios
come to different
y, por
spaces.
ejemplo, este
And for
año el
example, this year,
impacto
the
esperado será
impact,
que la voz
the
llegue a
expected impact
hombres de
was that our voices come to the global event in Berlin, because our voices are present through the call of action, and youth with disabilities, well, we won't be left behind. And it is important to have really clear that there are things that can be surpassed, and there are things that can be made better. And we have worked previously on these calls of actions, and it is important to take them to different spaces of participation in our regions and to share them broadly, so that call of actions has an impact in all of our regions and in all of the world, because we also represent all regions of the world, and it is important that our voices be heard in local governments, in national governments, in regional spaces, in the agencies of United Nations in our countries and in our regions. And this is what we are going to work on, and to complete the objective of the Agenda 2030. And thank you for having me, and I hope these
Okay, thank you
2
so
hours
much,
will be
Antonio,
great.
for your intervention. I think it's very important that youth with disabilities can understand that they need to active participate in these processes of call to actions and declarations, especially in these kind of meetings, but not only related to disability, but I think in all the processes, such as, for instance, Rose will be explaining later about Summit for the Future and why it was important to present this call to action in the Summit for the Future. Now we will be moving ahead with our second speaker in this presentation about youth engagement. And we will have the participation of Anna Urlieva from UNICEF. Anna is really one of our great partners. She's always supporting us in our work with youth with disabilities. She's also one of my friends. And thank you so much, Anna, for all your support, especially for all your motivation and your commitment with the participation and engagement of youth with disabilities. Anna will be talking about the engagement of youth with disabilities in the process to draft the call to action for Global Disability Summit 2022. Okay, Anna, welcome, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Rosario, for kind words. I'll put my timer so I don't go over 5 minutes, and we have enough time for everyone to speak. I'm Anna Burganeva, and Rosario mentioned I'm from UNICEF HQ, and I'm originally from Russia. You might hear my strong accent. I was very lucky enough to be part of the previous youth call to action and engagement of youth in the GDS 2020. UNICEF, together with International Disability Alliance and Atlas Alliances, put together 24 hours marathon where youth with disabilities presented their manifesto and what they would like to see governments to act on. And I have to say, it was quite a large undertaking. We had over 3,500 youth with disabilities registered, being part of it. And the videos, the social media movement that young people put together had over 3 million impressions online. What I want to highlight first maybe is also a position of UNICEF. UNICEF, last year, we launched a disability inclusion policy and strategy where we're very clear what we would like to have as a vision for children and young people and how young people can build this vision together. Young people with disability playing a huge role in the becoming leaders and changers. Not only nothing about us without us, but actually nothing without us, right? Because we both know that to achieve disability inclusion, we need to focus on the every mainstream actions. Highlighting also on the why youth mobilization is so important is I will tell you one very simple story. Many years ago, I met a young woman from Africa. She was deaf, and she was sharing the story about gender-based violence that happened to her and some of her young peers. Many years after, I met her as the parliamentarian in one of the countries. And she was also trained in the police of understanding how to take claims of children who are deaf. So really, our young leaders today are policymakers and decision makers tomorrow. And this is super important to, I know many of us, many of you are doing this on a voluntary basis, but building the movement together would leads to enormous results for 16% of population globally. I want to highlight that in this meeting today, as Rosario already mentioned, as Esther mentioned, we have an opportunity to build a strong call to action. Call to action that will not only bring voices of you, but voices of millions of youth with disabilities around the world, millions of diverse young people who live around the world, and importance of taking actions and being part of the bigger movement. So I want to encourage all of you to stay consistent with this work. It is not only one-time opportunity, it is something that we'll have to carry through the GDS and beyond. So I want to thank all of you for being here, and we will be throughout with you, learning from you and supporting you in any way. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anna. Thank you so much for this explanation about what happened to engage youth with disabilities in this call to action, prepare for the Global Disability Summit. Also, I remember that we had 16 action points at that time, and it was really hard work. And now also we are preparing our call to action. That's why I would like to invite all of you also to fill out the survey, because a part of this online consultation, we have an online survey in different language, in Spanish, Portuguese, Arabic, French, and Russian as well. Thanks to Anna for her contribution in the Russian translation. Definitely, also we have in international sign this survey, and the deadline for the survey will be March 12th. That's why I encourage all of you to fill out the survey. Okay, and we need to continue with this webinar, with this consultation. That's why I would like to introduce Ross McMullan. He's representing Sightsavers, which is an organization who also is partnering with us in this process of call to action. Sightsavers made a great contribution last year with IDA, jointly with IDA. Sightsavers and IDA supported the preparation of the call to action prepared by youth for the Summit of the Future, which took place last year in September. And I would like to invite Ross to talk more about the youth engagement in this process, because also we had an online consultation, and then we drafted the call to action, and also it was presented in different forums. Okay, welcome, Ross. The floor is yours.
Thanks so much, Rosario, and hi, everybody. Great to see some and read some familiar names and faces on the call from some of our previous engagement. As Rosario says, my name is Ross. I am the Global Campaigns Manager for the Equal World campaign, which is a campaign for disability inclusive development that's run by Sightsavers, but we work really extensively with partners across the world, particularly in a lot of our program countries in Africa and South Asia. I'm based in Northern Ireland, so a few miles up the road from James, who's on the call here, down in Dublin. I'm based up outside of Belfast. And as Rosario says there, we have been engaged with IDA and the IDA Youth Committee as a campaign for the past year or so, and just particularly around the Summit of the Future. Yeah, I just wanted to give maybe just a little bit of background to that engagement, some of the successes really from that engagement, and really, I think, just to underpin, I think, a key kind of message that has been sort of articulated so far, which is around the importance of these types of calls to action. So yes, early last year, Sightsavers and the International Disability Alliance began to discuss the Summit of the Future, particularly around the opportunity it presented for young people with disabilities. And You won't need me to tell you that there was a consensus really that the voices of young people with disabilities are largely absent from national and global policy discussions and key forums, and the Summit of the Future was identified as a key time to try and address that. It chimed also with an opportunity, particularly because the UN Youth Office had just appointed its first UN Assistant Secretary General for Youth Affairs, Dr. Philippe Paulier, in December of 2023. And they also had, at the time, an established disability lead who was passionate about young people with disabilities being provided with platforms in the UN system. And so working together with a range of partners, including Anna as well, and UNICEF, amongst many others, we wanted to ensure youth with disabilities were provided with the resources, which is such a massive challenge, as again, you will not need me to tell you that, and as well as the platform and support to provide a platform to get to New York and take part in discussions on the Summit of the Future, and most importantly, to be able to speak for themselves. So we held a consultative workshop, kind of like this one, which produced the 10-point plan for disability inclusive development, and I'll share the link for that later on. And that was created through engagement with IDA's Youth Committee, and this was the basis then really for the engagement on the Summit of the Future. So the 10-point plan called on governments, for example, to involve youth with disabilities in decision-making processes and accountability mechanisms. It included a suggested pledge for governments to take, that they take meaningful steps to strengthen the participation of youth with disabilities in events and discussions, and to promote their participation in political and public life at the local, national, regional, and global levels. Lydia Vlagsma, who is a member of IDA's Youth Committee, travelled to the UN to attend the ECOSOC Youth Forum, which happened in April last year, where she presented these messages. And in terms of the platform that we were able to work with a range of partners to provide, she took part in a really important panel discussion, which also featured two senior UN leaders, Philippe Paulier, that I mentioned earlier, the UN Assistant Secretary General on Youth Affairs, and then the Under Secretary General for Policy, Guy Ryder, who was really instrumental in terms of shaping the UN's response to the Pact for the Pact for the Future, which is the outcome document of the Summit of the Future. So we'll skip forward through all the negotiations and the engagement that took place, and what resulted at the Summit of the Future in the Pact for the Future that was agreed were some key commitments to young people with disabilities. So this included the meaningful inclusion of young people with disabilities that our 10-point plan had called for, that I read earlier. So Action 36 of the Pact of the Future committed member states to addressing the challenges and removing barriers that prevent full, meaningful, and effective participation of all youth, young people with disabilities in national policy making and decision making, and improving their representation in formal political structures.
Sorry,
so
hi, this is Natasha, the interpreter speaking. Can you slow down, please, for interpretation's sake?
Absolutely, and I'm giving away my nationality there because the Irish absolutely love to speak quickly, as James will be able to attest to. So apologies if I'm speaking far too fast. I'll slow it down, as you mentioned. So yeah, just to say that this is what we called for. What we called for in the 10-point plan is what we saw reflected in the Pact for the Future itself. So I want to encourage you at the outset of this consultation today that we are putting together a tool that will aim to impact how governments take action on the inclusion of young people with disabilities by young people with disabilities. These are your words. They're not our words, they're your words. At a time of a growing list of crises, when global leaders don't seem to be listening at all to young people, and particularly young people with disabilities, your voices can have power. But it's not enough that governments reflect our asks in PDF documents, right? But just documents that exist on a website. We need to work with them to lift the words from these pages and to realize their promise in real life. And most importantly, they can't be allowed to forget these promises and these commitments. So the Global Disability Summit is a really important platform to be able to do that, especially with everything going on at the present time, particularly in the space of global development, and when disability inclusion is being questioned, and at a time when action on disability inclusion is really, really imperative. So I'm really looking forward to hearing the results of your discussions today. I'll be sitting taking notes to report back. But thank you so much for the time, and I hope that was a little bit slower for you all to understand my Irish accent. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rose. Yes, sometimes it's very difficult to try to be slower. I mean, when we are speaking, sometimes also it's happened to me, but it's okay. Thank you so much for our interpreters also for their patience about that. Well, now we have already listened all the details of previous processes in which we engage youth with disabilities to prepare different call to action, one for the Global Disability Summit in 2022 and the other one for the Summit of the Future, which took place last year in New York. And now we need to start working on our own call to action. I think our call to action, because even though I am no longer youth, definitely I like to encourage all youth with disabilities to prepare these documents and to be involved in these issues. Call to actions always are really great to strengthen the movement of youth with disabilities and the movement of persons with disabilities as well. That's why I think now we are going to have like a breakout rooms. I want to explain a little bit about that, but also Alexandra will be supporting me if I maybe miss something. We will be having 7 breakout rooms. We will be having one for Spanish speakers, another one for French speakers. We will be having 2 breakout rooms for English speakers. Then we will be having one for Portuguese speakers, then one for Arabic speakers, and the 7 would be from people who use international sign and captioning. And now we have the list in advance. That's why it allows us to assign the breakout rooms to different people, because even though if we didn't have this list, definitely 10, 15 or 20 minutes to do that. And now we prefer to use this time in order that you can discuss about 3 questions that we have prepared for you, 3 guiding questions. You can discuss about that. And it's okay. I mean, for us, it's very important that you need to know that each of these breakout rooms are going to have a facilitator and a note taker. We have already assigned facilitators, but what you need to do first is to assign one person who will be reporting back. Because after the 30 minutes that you will be having for each breakout room to discuss internally, each of the groups will have to report back to the plenary room, which means that you need to select one youth to report back for each of these breakout rooms. Okay, you need to do that before maybe starting to discuss the questions. All the facilitators have the guiding questions. And definitely you need to use this time to participate actively in that. And you will have an announcement 2 minutes before finishing, that you only have 2 minutes to finish the breakout room in order to maybe summarize all the things that you are discussing. You will receive an announcement of the saying that have 2 minutes to finish the breakout rooms. Alexandra, I don't know if you want to explain more about how you have assigned these, or maybe, I mean, more technical issues about that, and maybe I am skipping.
Thank you, Rosario. All perfectly explained. And whenever you are ready, we can start the breakout room. If somebody pops out from the breakout room, I will do the manually, put them back in the room because of the internet connection.
Okay, just emphasize that the breakout rooms have a duration of 30 minutes, which means after 30 minutes, you will be directed to the main plenary room. Just recall you that we have like an announcement 2 minutes before finishing this breakout room. Okay, please, the people who will be the note takers, try to take notes. And then after that, not today, but tomorrow or by Monday at the most, all the note takers and facilitators need to send to me and Esther the notes in order to use these notes to start the process to prepare the call to action. Okay. Thank you so much. I don't know, maybe we can start now with the breakout rooms.
Okay, we will start now with the breakout.
Hi, Rosario.
Sorry, Esther, now you are audible. I think your voice is okay. And if you want to, I mean, to have the floor now, it's okay. Let me
Okay,
know.
I just want to add something small. So we had prepared like the breakout room list for Alessandra to be able to automate the breakout room session before time. But in case everybody leaves for the breakout room and you're left in the main room without joining any breakout room, you can hold on and let me know. Both Rosario and I and Alexandra, then we can assign you to a breakout room.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you so
so
much,
that's the
Esther.
only thing I need to add. Alessandra, I think you can go on now.
No, and
Oh.
also, Esther, your voice is clear now. That's why I think you can go on with the moderation after also the breakout rooms, because now your voice is really clear.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Just
After
one note.
after the breakout. Okay.
Esther, I'm so sorry. Just if you can please clarify about the languages in the breakout rooms.
Oh, okay. So the languages we have, so Rosario mentioned we have 7 breakout room. We have English breakout room 1, English breakout room 2, and then we have Spanish breakout room. We have French breakout room. We have Portuguese and Arabic and international sign and English captioning. So we give Alexandra the list of people who will go into this particular breakout rooms, but there were a few late registration. So if the breakout rooms session starts and you are left in the main room without joining any of this, you can hold on and then let us know so that we know the language you speak or which breakout room you want to join. And then Alessandra will add you.
Thank you so much, Esther.
Okay.
So we will start now the breakout rooms. Thank you.
Yes.
Hi, Rosario and Esther. So we have a people in the main room for not to sign. Can you hear me? Rosario, can you hear me?
I think if we have some people who have not been assigned, I don't know if there's a way to know what language they speak in order to assign to the rooms. Maybe they can write in the chat. Could you please say maybe the names of these people who are
Yes,
not
yes,
assigned?
yes.
Yeah.